and bright stars through the perilous fight. For the ramparts we watched was completely gleaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave over the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Rabbi Rosenfeld, please come up for the prayer for the Israeli army.
Say, Kuf Tav Aleph should be on the program. So I can make it run. Shir Lamalos, Esa Einai El HaHarim, Me'ayin Yavo Ezri. Ezri Mim Adonai, Osei Shemayim V'Oretz. Al Yitin Lamo Raglecha, Oyanum Shomrecha. Hinei Lo Yanum V'Lo Yishan, Shomer Yisrael. Adonai Shomecha, Adonai Tzilcha, Yad Yaminecha. Yomam Hashem Shlo Yakekam Yeriach Balaylo. Adonai Yishmarcha Mikol Ra Yishmor Es Nafshecha. Adonai Yishmor Tzitzcha Uecha Mi'ata V'Yad Olam. Mishem Beirach Avoseinu Abraham Yitzchak V'Yakov V'Yivarech Es Chayalei Tzva Haganah Yisrael. Ha'omdim ha'mishmar artzeinu v'yarei Eloheinu migvul ha'levanon v'midbar Mitzrayim u'min hayam ha'gadol alavo ha'raba v'yabasha v'aviru v'ayom Yitein Adonai es oivenu hakamim alinu nigafim lefneihem HaKadosh Baruch Hu yishmor v'yatzil es chayaleinu mikol tzara v'tzuka u'mikol nega u'machla yishlach bracha v'atzlacha v'chol ma'aseh yedeihem Yadver solenu tachtehem v'yatrim b'keser Yeshua ובארץ ניצחון, וקוים להם הכסות, כי אדוני אלוהיכם ההוליך עמכם, להילחם לכם, עמכם להושיע אתכם, ונאמר אמן.
We're now going to have a number of presentations by local representatives, and Rabbi Stewart for Stella will be taking care of that.
Good evening and welcome to the 72nd anniversary dinner of the Young Israel of Kew Garden Hills. I'd like to thank everyone that is here for coming and taking the time out. B'shus HaRabbanim, it's nice to see all three rabbis in one room, in one place. This is probably the first time. Each one contributed so much to the Young Israel of Kew Garden Hills. At this time, I want to acknowledge the founding Rav, Rabbi Fabian Schoenfeld, whose yahrzeit was just observed just a few days ago on Hanukkah. Without Rabbi Schoenfeld, we wouldn't be here. And we are grateful to his leadership, and we thank Rabbi Fabian Schoenfeld so much. Before I begin with the politicians, our local leaders over here with the citations, I first like to generally welcome each and every one of you here. Those of you that are here, I've had so many good conversations with you over the last couple of years, and I thank you for answering my call. Everything was on behalf of the synagogue, which is an important edifice to the Queens Jewish community, the borough of Queens, and I thank each and every one of you for coming and taking time out from your busy, busy schedule. First, I'd like to introduce to you the Queensborough President, Donovan Richards. I'd like to call our Queensborough President first.
Well, good evening. And I want to start by thanking Rabbi Rosenfeld. Thank you so much for your friendship and generosity. And of course, to President Stuart Versendig, thank you for your leadership and for all that you do to support and enhance this shul. And I want to extend my best wishes to everyone at the Young Israel of Kew Gardens Hills on this occasion of your 72nd anniversary. Give it up for yourself. Of course, to Rabbi Emeritus Schoenfeld, thank you for your vision. You know, they often say vision is critical in building community. And vision is the art of seeing what's invisible to others. And he certainly was a visionary. Over the past 3 years as borough president, I have learned about the significance of the number 18, which symbolizes Ka, or life. The number 72. All right, y'all gonna stick with me, right? We're gonna do some mathematics here. Number 72 is 4 times 18, or 4 times life. And that is truly a special milestone. And it's great to have an 8-year-old at home who challenges me with his multiplication figures. But it also means that the Young Israel of Kew Gardens Hills has been a pillar in the Jewish community and beyond for over 7 decades. How fitting that you are honoring the congregants who take responsibility for leading the services every Sabbath. And how wonderful that you're recognizing the young people who give everyone hope for the future, especially during a time of despair. You know, I often talk about being the borough president, and elected officials always get up and talk about all the things we do and how we get things done. But I'm often reminded and encouraged of people who volunteer in places like this, people who get out into our communities to leave it better than we found it. So congratulations to all of the honorees on this evening. And of course, I want to acknowledge the pivotal role of one of the recipients as well, the 107 Precinct. Thank you for what you did. There's not a time that we fall that they don't pick up. And I know we've seen this uptick as we continuously seen of anti-Semitic crimes. It's one of the reasons why, even going back to my time in the city council when I oversaw the public safety committee, working with my colleagues, Jewish colleagues in the city council, we created something called the Office to Prevent Hate Crimes. We actually passed legislation to do that, but we also did something that was critical as well, working with our police department, and that was to make sure that CompStat is reflects hate crimes as well, so that we can know what's going on in real time in our communities. But I want to say, even before that reporting mechanism was put in place, the 107 precinct has always been at the forefront of communicating, and most importantly, being responsive to all of our houses of worship. Friends, I hope that your Hanukkah was filled with light. I'm sure that it was not easy to celebrate this year, given the darkness that our brethren in Israel are experiencing at this moment. 2 months ago, I traveled to Israel with the JCRC of New York, and let me say this, I actually was planning a trip. We talk about how do we break down silos, how do we break down the walls of ignorance, and I had put together this trip with about 20 to 30 leaders from around Queens County to go to Israel. We got our tickets to board the plane on October 6th. I packed my bags. Everybody was excited to go, and a very diverse range of people going on this trip. Woke up Saturday and I just happened to turn on the news, MSNBC, CNN, and you saw this horrific attack happening. And, you know, we're just trying to all figure it out. And of course, we didn't make that trip. We will take that trip, and I will bring that diverse set of individuals to Israel when Israel prevails. Let me say this. I went to Israel with the JCRC, and you can imagine the question marks I got. First from my wife, who said, "You're going into a war zone? You got to be crazy." And then I got calls from individuals who said, "You should never go to Israel." I went to Israel in 2015, and I told those folks I'm going to Israel again. And we went, we witnessed the devastation at the kibbutz, a mile away from the Gaza border. Walking into that kibbutz, seeing the devastation, still smelling the stench of death in the air. Hearing the artillery fire between Hamas and these young people in the IDF. You know, we were at the equivalent, I think, of the Pentagon meeting and getting a briefing, and we came under rocket fire ourselves in Tel Aviv. We had to go into a safe room. And we met with many residents displaced in the hotels at this moment. And what I try to remind people is there was rocket fire raining in on Israel before October 7th, but yet it was so normalized in Israel. And that should never be normalized. So there's a new chart pathway we have to forge moving forward. And yes, Israel has the right to defend herself. And we have not been failed our friends in the defense of Israel. Because I saw with my own 2 eyes, why did I take the trip? There's one thing to pick up the newspaper. There's one thing to read about it, watch it on television. But I wanted to come back to tell my constituents from all backgrounds what I saw and what I witnessed. So my prayers are with Israel. My prayers are also with innocent civilians who have nothing to do with this war on all sides. None of us want to see innocent civilians harmed. But there's one way to ensure that that doesn't happen in the future, and that is a defeat of Hamas. The release of those hostages, many of the families I met with there. So I want to thank you all. You know, we've been closely monitoring the situation. I have a hate crimes task force that was established when I became borough president because we recognize how much anti-Semitism is happening across this borough. Just last week, I met with CUNY leaders. I brought in CUNY leaders because we are not going to tolerate our students not being able to get an education that they're paying for on their campuses. Our Jewish students, no matter what your background is, you should feel free to worship who you want to worship, to wear your yarmulke, to love who you want to love, free of fear on any campus in Queens County and our city. So there's a lot of work that we continue to do. In January, we'll be bringing together many members across the borough of different faith backgrounds, hosting a faith-based dinner to really ensure that we break this ignorance once and for all. That being said, may tonight's dinner bring light to your lives, and may we see justice in our lifetimes. I wish you all another 72 years and beyond. Now, I have a citation in honor.
I'd like to call upon Rabbi Schoenfeld, Rabbi Rosenfeld, Rabbi Glad to come forward.
And we have a small token of appreciation, which is this fancy little proclamation citation thing I get to give out. But I'll read the citation of honor presented to Young Israel of Kew Gardens Hills in grateful recognition of its outstanding contributions to the community. On behalf of all 2.4 million residents of Queens, the world's borough, and on the occasion of the 72nd anniversary of Young Israel of Kew Gardens Hills, we salute and thank Young Israel of Kew Gardens Hills for its more than 7 decades of serving Queens with faith, dedication, a deep commitment to the well-being of its members and of our entire borough, presented on this special occasion, December 17th. Congratulations. Oh wait, maybe we
Come move back.
But somebody got to. I present it to you.
Thank you, Sammy. Thank you so much. Thank you.
I'd like to thank Queens Borough President. I'd like to recognize Alan Weinberg, who's the physical officer at the Queens Borough President's office, who's here with us this evening. Thank you so much for coming. I'd like to extend a warm welcome to Jonathan Arieh, who is the District Special Assistant to Grace, the Honorable Congresswoman Grace Manning, who unfortunately could not make it, but we do acknowledge our Congresswoman for her presence here on October 7th during Hakodesh at night, in coming and giving us comfort, because that's when the situation unfortunately started in Gaza. Jonathan Arieh.
Good evening, everybody. First, my name is Jonathan Arieh. I'm the District Special Assistant for Congresswoman Grace Manning. First, I would love to thank everyone for being here. I've seen a couple of you guys at our Hanukkah party, so it's nice to see you guys again. I would love to reiterate the same sentiments as the Queensborough President, but I couldn't have said it better myself. And I'll keep it short and sweet, as I don't want to get in the way of the amazing food, as I know everybody's here for that. So, keep it short and sweet. Unfortunately, the Congresswoman is unable to attend, as she sends her regards, as I know it's extremely important, and the positive impact this organization has had on our community, as it is your effort and leadership and strength that exemplifies the future leaders of this generation. So the Congresswoman wants to thank you guys for everything that the organization has done for our community. So on behalf of the Congresswoman, we want to thank you for 72 years of amazing work. We have a proclamation on behalf of the Congresswoman that we would want to honor such a momentous occasion. So for that being said, unfortunately, the Congresswoman wasn't able to be here, but she is here in spirit, and she does want to celebrate with you guys. So thank you guys again, and that's it.
I'd like to thank Jonathan for coming, and I'd like to personally please extend to the Congresswoman my appreciation and my gratitude, because my calls are returned, and not only from the Congresswoman, but members of the office. I've called the office so many times, both here as well as in DC, and I'm grateful for her support for security for the shuls and houses of worship everywhere. Please extend to Congresswoman my appreciation.
Thank you. So, I have a proclamation on behalf of the Congresswoman. So, the Young Israel of Kew Garden Hills attends to the needs of the Orthodox Jewish community in Queens. It enhances the lives of all its congregants by providing stimulating programs. Through its youth department, it is able to provide all children with positive experiences with Judaism and a synagogue with activities intended to promote a warm and inclusive environment. It offers weekly programming that provides children with a chance to develop strong friendships, and as well as learn Jewish values. So for more than 50 consecutive years, it has consistently served the Kew Garden Hills community in providing the important morning service. As it has remained a constant, vital source of information, spiritual wisdom, and counseling to the community, it will continue to provide enriching activities and vital services for its congregants. So the Congresswoman is honored to join the Young Israel of Kew Garden Hills in celebrating the outstanding achievements of this year's honorees.
Thank you so much. Please extend our appreciation and gratitude, and thank you personally for taking your busy time coming here. Thank you. I'd like to acknowledge and introduce the next speaker, Sam Berger, Assembly Member, the newest Assembly Member, perhaps the youngest Assembly Member. I'd like to extend a warm welcome and call upon Assembly Member Sam Berger.
First of all, I'd like to congratulate the Shul on this dinner. The Shul has a lot of meaning to me. Someone who grew up here. This is the location where I graduated, where my sisters graduated from elementary school, where I've been to for many family events, bar mitzvahs, bat mitzvahs. I've grown up here, and so congratulations on the dinner and supporting your anniversary. I have the privilege and the honor of bestowing a proclamation for the 107th Precinct on behalf of the elected officials of Kew Garden Hills. I was elected right towards the end of September. With October 7th happening, it was quite a time to get into politics. Amidst the chaos, I found that the 107th was the first real semblance of order, of people who were not part of the community, of the Jewish community, but who are stepping up to say, how can we help? What's the best way that we can be of service to the community? Whether it was protecting our schools and being there when the kids left, when the kids came in the morning, or being there for our shuls during the heaviest times, least heaviest times. I think we all have a job here to recognize the NYPD, to give thanks to the NYPD for the work that they do. For every quiet night that we have, every walk in the park, every safe trip to the grocery store, we have our officers to thank for that. And if the entirety of New York State had a precinct like the 107th, we'd be in much better shape. So thank you. I'd like to call up Officer Tim Gorman now to receive the proclamation. Yeah, can we take a picture? I don't know. This way. Change the
Want to speak it up? Yes, please. Okay. I just want to say thank you on behalf of Deputy Inspector Chin and our incoming Commanding Officer, Captain Singh. We appreciate you guys. It's always been an honor to be a part of this precinct. I grew up as a little kid running around here. My family lives here, my family works here, and I've always felt that it was very special that I was able to come back here and serve you guys. So thank you, and we all do really appreciate it.
I'd like to thank both of you for your warm remarks. I'd like to welcome or extend a warm welcome to State Senator John Liu, who was here with us just a short while ago and had to leave. And also I'd like to acknowledge the Honorable Assembly Member David Weapon, who unfortunately could not make it this evening, but we're fortunate to have his Director of Communications, I'm sure you do know, Saphirstein. We thank him for being part of this, and I'd like to thank your brother Penny as well for setting up the logistics, and of course my wife Orie for coaching me and doing whatever was necessary out of the heart. Our next speaker will be Eric Adamsuna, representing the Councilman Jim Gennaro. Unfortunately, I got a text message not too long ago. Jim is unfortunately not well right now. We wish him a speedy recovery, and I'm grateful for the Councilman's office for what Jim has done. And please extend to Jim my best regards and my gratitude and appreciation for all the meetings and conversations that I've had with him about the synagogue, and it was, even though it took a long time for conversations, it was worthwhile.
Thank you very much. Can everybody hear me? All right, great. So, as was said, the councilman, sorry he couldn't make it today. He was actually diagnosed with RSV. This happened over the weekend. His age is very difficult, so he asked me to come in instead and say two things really. Well, first of all, he wanted me to speak about the theme of gratitude. First gratitude goes to, of course, Rabbi Schoenfeld, Rabbi Rosenfeld, Rabbi Verstandig, and Rabbi Glad as well. There is no doubt that the YIKGH of Kew Garden Hills is a cornerstone of the community over here in Kew Garden Hills, the Jewish community. In many ways started over here. As a Bachar Jew, I can tell you that after moving here from Brooklyn, I benefited very much. I'm very thankful personally, and the councilman wanted me to express that, especially because of his affinity to this community as well. He says it's a part of the campus that makes Kew Garden Hills so special. Everybody's aware of it. And when we talk about the Jewish community of Queens, we predominantly think about the community here in Kew Garden Hills. And the other point that the council wanted me to bring up was the theme of shame. This is very personal to him. As I'm sure you're all aware of, over the past few weeks, our community has had a lot of different anti-Semitic issues, and to call it as it is, it's really Jew hatred. We've had an incident in Hillcrest High School very recently. The councilman was the first to speak about it, and we'll be hearing a lot more about it over the coming week. The councilman wants to make it clear that this has no place over here. After October 7th, we had a vigil in front of the Kew Garden Hills Library. That was arranged by the borough president, and the councilman was there as well. And he wanted to make clear again that as these events continue to unfold and as the situation changes, the council is with the community, and he will continue to voice his opposition. And he wants it to be clear also to all those students and all the campuses who are struggling. We get calls almost every single day. I handle the bulk of them. A lot of them are coming in from the colleges in our district, the schools here. A lot of the students are suffering, and a lot of times, they feel, I hate to say it, they almost feel ashamed to be Jewish, and it's heartbreaking to hear. But we're in this, and the councilman wants to make clear that we're in this together. He's going to continue to fight hard and use his platform to show that there is nothing to be ashamed of. There's no equivocation between self-defense and terrorism. And that's something to be made clear. Every person, if you know somebody who's in college who is struggling, The council asks that this message go out clear. You can stand with your head up high. Remember that you have at least the councilman's backing in your mission, and that hopefully we'll be together and be in better days as well. And with that, do you want me to give up the citations or okay? So we do have 3 city council citations for tonight's honorees. The first one will be for Orie Shapiro. Second one will be for Mikey Hizami.
Supposed to be on that too. Yeah, come on.
My apologies.
You're part of the
Oh, there's a second one for her? Okay, great. So give me 1 second. Alyssa, yes. Yeah, here you go. Rabbi Arieh Listowsky.
I'd like to thank you again personally for taking my calls, my emails, responding speedily for this synagogue. Thank you so much for your presence. I'd like to acknowledge the presence of a few individuals who are here this evening. Alan Sherman, a community activist, the co-publisher of our favorite newspaper here at Queens Jewish Link, Yaakov Serol, members of Chaver, members of Shmira. I'd like to acknowledge Rabbi Chaim Schwartz, Executive Vice President of Yeshiva Chavetz Chaim. I'd like to also acknowledge Executive Director of the Queens Jewish Community Council, Rabbi Meir Waxman. Thank you so much for coming. We gratefully appreciate it. Now we get to the second part of the program, and I'd like to call upon Tim to come forward. We are extremely grateful to the NYPD, the 107 Precinct, for all the work that they do for our community and our shul, especially since October 7th. Under the leadership of Deputy Inspector Chen and the Community Affairs Kevin McCarthy and you, Tim Gorman, you made sure our shul was safe and looked after. You made sure to stop by and check in on us at all the right times. You always answered my calls. You, together with Kevin and Deputy Inspector Chen, who unfortunately could not be here this evening, came down with the flu. You gave us the resources we needed, making sure we are all right. I'd like to publicly congratulate Deputy Inspector Kevin Chen on becoming Patrol Queen South Executive. We are deeply grateful for the work that he has done keeping our community safe. Please convey that to him. We will miss him, even though he will be around, and we wish him congratulations on his promotion. Please stand up and let's give our Tov to the NYPD for watching this building 7 days a week, 24 hours.
Use it as a weapon.
I can't thank them enough because I'm in touch with this precinct pretty much frequently, and I must give credit to the individual that educated me on community affairs, and that is Rabbi Yoel Schoenfeld. It was Rabbi Yoel Schoenfeld that gave me the grand tour of the 107. Rabbis, come up.
Here's the box first.
Thank you. We're going to pick this side right here. Okay. Got us in? You want me to move the mic? No, Thank you very much. Just real quickly, I know everyone's very concerned about what's going on, and rightfully so. And I think we all know that the NYPD doesn't have the amount of members that we always have, and we're a little short-staffed, and things have been a little rougher for us. But I just have to say that it's not just me, that there's a lot of officers that put in a lot of time away from their homes to spend working here to try and do their best job to keep you guys safe. And it's been hectic, and it's been rough. I can honestly say the past 3 years, before even this was happening, has been the toughest part of my career. But I hope that we're doing a satisfactory job for you guys, and I thank you for acknowledging us today.
It's now a special honor for me, hope I don't get too emotional, to introduce Rabbi Yoel Schoenfeld, who will present the Avodas Hakodesh Awards in just a few moments. And I'd like to, at this time, welcome Reverend Perry, who's here with us, and I'd like to thank both of them for traveling from their new home in Baltimore, coming out today to the Young Israel of YIKGH Hills in honor of the 72nd anniversary of the Shul. Words alone cannot describe the relationship that I had with Rabbi Yoel Schoenfeld during the most difficult times of one's life. I'm grateful for being able to work with Rabbi Yoel Schoenfeld, but I must give credit to the founding Rav, Rabbi Fabian Schoenfeld, who really led the foundation, working with my father, Zichrono Livracha, for so many years and decades for the development and growth of the Queens Jewish community. Without any further ado, I call upon the Rabbi Emeritus, Rabbi Yoel Schoenfeld.
I have to mention Orie, who really I know plays an integral part of whatever does go on here. And of course, Rebecca Winnett, the chairman this evening. And all those who are gathered here. I'm here for the purpose of introducing the Joe and Stella Zimilover Avodas Hakodesh awardees to our Rabbi Arieh Listowsky and Orie Shapiro. And I'm not a keynote speaker, I'm not here to make any drashas, but of course I do have feelings in coming back to my home ground, my training ground. And I have to tell you that over the years, we're very happy in Baltimore, but over the year and a half that it's been, it's a recurring dream. And in this recurring dream, I step into the shul, into the Young Israel, in the middle of davening. I just happen to be in the area, so I step in and I sit down and see the guy says, "Sorry, this is my seat. Please get out." And it really is. What are you going to have? Is anybody going to know me when I come back? But I was very, very touched by the beautiful reception that Perry and I received downstairs, the informal reception in the beautiful room that Stewie just said here. And it's just great to be back amongst friends. I'm often asked, do I miss the rabbinate? Do I miss Queens? And the answer, of course, is how could I not miss the rabbinate? How could I not miss Queens? The rabbinate has been part of my life since 1978, 79, Twin Rivers, Staten Island, and then here, and it's been part of my life before that, watching, learning, being inspired, having the zechus to grow under the leadership of my father. So of course, in that respect, I miss the rabbinate. But you go on in life and you make with the situation as it is. And then the friends that we've made here over the years, I sit in the shul, I daven every single day in a particular shul. I daven one shul Shabbos and another shul during the week. And I tell you, I did every single Muktamar that I'm there, unless I have reason not to be there, otherwise that's why I daven Muktamar every day. I don't know anybody. I just don't know anybody. And I'm okay with that, as long as, they don't, I don't bother you, you don't bother me. But I do say that, and I say to people, the unusual people on these hills, who are known to be the most outgoing, friendliest shul, but it had a charm, it has a personality. Things happen, people interact, people love each other, people get along with each other, and it was just an experience, of course, all created by my father. So, of course, I miss the people, people on these hills terribly so, and that is why Harry and I decided, when Rebecca called me if I would come to this dinner, truth is, we have a cousin of ours that's making a wedding in Baltimore tonight. It'll take me 10 minutes to get to the wedding. Most weddings don't happen in Baltimore. Most people in Baltimore make weddings in Lakewood. That's only 2.5 hours away. But we decided that this is our opportunity to come back and experience the Young Israel of YIKGH Hills, and I think I found my seat. And the Rabbi very graciously showed me to the seat. I don't have to worry about getting kicked out. And so, who are you? The 10/7, October 7th, which the borough president spoke about very eloquently before, really changed the whole world, especially for the Jewish community. And so we really are one. So if my life takes me to Baltimore or anywhere else, but the fact that we are YIKGH B'nai Yisrael, which we sing and we say and we believe, that we are all as one people, that has come so apparent and so true that no matter where we are, we really are all as one. So I thank you for this opportunity just to say those few words. And on that note, it is my pleasure to introduce our Avodas Hakodesh awardees, Joe and Stella Zimilover, unforgettable as they were, which carries the name of the Avodas Hakodesh award. I'll just mention the formal bio of Rabbi Arieh Listowsky's family joined Young Israel of YIKGH Hills when they moved to the neighborhood in 1981 and have maintained membership consistently since then. As part of his speaker studies at Shul University's READS program, the guys in the Institute for Talmudic Studies, Arieh spent a year as a rabbinic intern in Israel under the mentorship of my father, Rabbi Shabsie. During that time, Arieh started giving shiur in the shul. That connection with our shul continues till this day, as he regularly gives shiur on Yom Tov, Shabbos, and for Pirkei Avos, and was an important impetus to his giving shiur in shuls across the neighborhood. Additionally, Rabbi Shalfa, my father, asked that he take over the Sunday morning Gemara class. Continues to this day, focused on an in-depth learning of the Saphirstein of the Saphirstein with an emphasis on practical halacha. The shiur also dedicates a good part of the year. The shiur also dedicates a good part of the year to learning about the relevant topics of the Jewish calendar. Just on a personal note, Rabbi and I have become quite friends before and after his changing marital status, and he was. I always marveled at him. Always with a safer, on his way to work. At that time, working for Goldman Sachs, and whenever I saw him on the train, on occasion, I had a newspaper and he had a safer. And he just was a very special person. We did develop a very special relationship, and now with his family as well. So, Rabbi, it's a great opportunity to call upon you. Please accept this well-deserved Avodas Hakodesh award. Tuesday night.
Thank you, Rabbi Schoenfeld, the Shus Rabbanim. Now let's Yerushalayim Aroshim Chasenu. First wanted to call out, Rabbi Schoenfeld mentioned the Sunday morning Gemara Shir, Brachos. It's a little bit of a misnomer. We spend a lot of the year actually on Inyan Dioma, and today we discussed what's coming up on Friday, Asar Teves, which commemorates the siege that was started by the Babylonians of the first base of Mikdash around Yerushalayim, the Yortzeit of Ezra, who passed away on the 9th of Teves, and marked the end of our leadership with Nebuah, and on the 8th of Teves, the Targum Shivin, which was the intrusion of the Hellenistic values into our Torah and the attempt to corrupt it. So with that event coming up, and hopefully the introspection that it provokes, we should use that to grow ourselves and use that as a merit to be able to help the situation that we have now currently in Eretz Yisrael that should be solved with a peaceful resolution. As recipient of the Avodas Hakodesh Award, and generally as a practical person, my first thought was, what's the utility of this award? Okay, it's nice, it looks nice, we're finding a wall for it, but how can I use this award? So, if you look at it as an acknowledgement or a diploma, that's not very inspiring, because Avodas Hakodesh is something you should aspire to continue doing, not something that you should have any terminus to. It should be something you want to grow into. So looking for inspiration, and no longer working at Goldman, but working at Google now, I turned to artificial intelligence, and I asked, how should I be inspired by this award? And it gave me a definition for an award. Is it primarily about recognition, celebrate significant achievements and accomplishments, and a way to honor somebody's efforts and contributions. But that doesn't really inspire me, sorry. Billions of dollars spent on that answer. So I turned to a true source of inspiration, Moshe Feinstein, and he gives a little bit more insight that I think is a little bit more useful, that can help us with these awards and put them in perspective. His Drash Moshe Feinstein, Parshas YIKGH, discusses the rewards for mitzvahs. And he says it's kind of silly to say, he doesn't use the word silly, that's my language. He says it's kind of useless to say that a mitzvah is rewarded with any particular item, wealth, kavod, knowledge, respect. All that's something that's in this world. It sort of comes and goes. But yet the Torah mentions that we do get these rewards for mitzvahs. So Moshe points out a very important idea, is that whatever rewards we get, whatever awards we get, the point is lasos mitzvahs Hashem, lasos b'Torah. So the point is to actually do more mitzvahs, and to use that as responsibility to do more, and leverage that to grow better. So in essence, any reward or award is really just more responsibility to do more good, as opposed to an end unto itself. Health, wealth, and even kavod are not the reward. The reward is being able to use those things to grow further and make a bigger impact. Similar to a promotion, an award or reward, the goal is to have a bigger impact, not just to revel in the past and think about your past recognition, your past accomplishments. Therefore, Moshe points out an award is actually not something that you celebrate and you look at with satisfaction. A reward is something that actually should scare you a little bit, because it's a sign that you should be doing more, and you can do more now because you have this. So it's that spirit, with that spirit, that I accept this award, not as a terminus, but as an acknowledgement that I should be inspired to do more, and like we all should be inspired to grow constantly. And hopefully this creates an impetus and helps inspire me to do more of Avodas Hakodesh. For that opportunity, and for this acknowledgement, I'd just like to give a few thanks in conclusion. Firstly, thanking Hashem. You always thank Hashem first. He provided all. He provides you with whatever you need to do whatever you need to do. I'd like to thank Rabbi Rosenfeld, the Young Israel YIKGH Hashkama Minyan Committee, Rabbi Precinct, Rebecca Wittard, and who worked with Shema and very tirelessly for the community and for the shul and putting this together. I'd like to thank all of you for coming out. Give yourselves a round of applause for coming. I want to evoke the memory of Rabbi Fabian Schoenfeld Zatzal, who was a mentor to me, as Rabbi Yoel Schoenfeld mentioned. He was a true rabbi, not only to me, but to my family and the community, and set an example for us in many walks of life. And continuing that tradition, I'd like to thank Rabbi Yoel Schoenfeld as a source of inspiration for me, a very large source, a beacon of halacha for me, always calling him up with a shaila. And I think the most important thing, as a beacon of yashrus, of being straightforward, honest, and tamimistic, a person who I can use as a role model for his leadership. And I'd like to thank him also for his friendship, if I can say that also. Special thanks to my supportive family. First among them is my mother, who encouraged me to walk down this path of Torah and inspires me to continue to do so. Remembering my father, who is our partner, if I've been to any of my shiurim until his passing almost, he's at every single shiur that I gave, day, night, winter, cold. My brother who's here, my sister, my brother-in-law, Rena and Jonathan, who form a trusted, solid family unit that I can rely upon to inspire me to do better. My kids, Shlomo and Tikva, I mentioned, who managed to both be, the source of my energy and the reason for my energy's depletion at the same time. So thank you guys. And finally, to my wife, Karen, whose role model as somebody who lives with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, whose depth is beyond anything I could have imagined by myself, and who allowed me to actually see that all the years before I was really not complete, until now I'm complete, and that we can go together, my partner, and continue as a team to grow. She's a source of my strength. She's the reason, the inspiration that I keep going, in addition to this award. And I would like to thank her for that also. So thank you very much.
Orie Shapiro is an attorney who advises clients about government regulations and compliance issues. He represents real estate companies and other businesses before administrative agencies. In addition, Orie is an adjunct professor of English at Lander College. He has also presented scores of sermons, shiurim, and lectures in synagogues and other venues. Orie and I have gotten to know each other quite well over the years, and I think we know that Orie is one of the sought-after lectures. I know Rebecca would have to make sure that somehow she was able to book Orie over the summer lecture series, because we always just love to look forward to hear what he had to say, whatever topic it was. It's a fine Talmud Chacham. My father always refers to the fact that Orie was a Talmud yet in the days of Rabbi Soloveitchik, and he would just to refer to Orie as the Litvak. So when Orie was, I dealt with him, I remember a couple of years ago, a good many years ago, on the Yom HaShoah, and he was a man of ideas, dedication, and Orie always left things as a great challenge. He was so bright and so wonderful, and we were very pleased to be able to present them with the Avodas Hakodesh this evening. I should admit to Rabbi Listowsky too, and it reads, Joseph and Stella Zimilover of Avodas Hakodesh were presented to Orie Shapiro. The young of YIKGH until 72nd anniversary, dated December 17th, 2023, 5 Tavis, 578.
Thank you, Rabbi Schoenfeld, for those kind words, and thank you, Arieh, for lending me 5 minutes of your speaking time so that I can speak longer. Distinguished rabbis and dear friends, thank you for bestowing this honor in recognition of the Divrei Torah and lectures which I have presented in the Shul. And more importantly, thank you to the Shul and the rabbis for affording me the opportunity over the last 15 years to speak on the Shabbos before each of my parents' yard sites during the summer lecture series and in other times during the course of the year. Although I recognize a debt of gratitude to the Shul for these opportunities, I confess that I tried valiantly, but futilely, to refuse this honor. During various calls from Mrs. Whittard, I declined, denied, disputed, demurred, deferred, delayed, and dilly-dallied each time she asked. In more than 4 decades of practicing law, I have faced many persuasive and tenacious attorneys, but few hold a candle to the indefatigable Mrs. Whittard, and I say that out of reverence and respect, not rancor. Ultimately, Rebecca succeeded by invoking the wisdom of her late revered father, who said something to the effect that a synagogue runs on sacrifices, and this year, I'm the one. I interpreted her words to mean that a shul is essentially a mikdash ma'at, and that this year, standing in place of the Holy Temple, we will not be having sadly, a korban ola, but we will be having a korban Orie. Appealing to a sense of sacrifice struck a consonant chord because the sacrifice of being your honoree pales in comparison to the sacrifices made by my parents. My father was the only member of his family to survive the Shoah, and my mother, who grew up stateside in the depths of the Depression, sacrificed mightily so that my brother and I could have an outstanding Jewish education. They sacrificed not only luxuries but necessities to provide us with the yeshiva education that neither of them had for a variety of personal and societal reasons. They sacrificed not only money but pride. Half a century later, after the fact, I toggled between humble admiration and horrified indignation with the recollection of the many weeks that my mother, among other parents, worked in a bingo hall administered by local yeshivas, coming home smelling like a smokestack from secondhand smoke in exchange for a tuition break so that she could afford her children's tuition and give them the Jewish education that she could not have. I dedicate this award and thoughts to my parents' memory, Immanuel Ben Chaim and Rivka Bat Reb Yitzchak, Aleichem Shalom. My parents reap rewards to the lectures that I give in their memory and in the knowledge that I'm not even the Torah scholar in the family.
My brother Jay has been a highly acclaimed Rebbe in 3 states for well over 3 decades. I am grateful that he and his wife Hani left balmy Boca for frigid Flushing to attend this dinner. In addition to appealing to a sense of sacrifice, Rebecca Wittard assured me that I only had to do 3 things in relationship to this dinner: write a bio for distribution, show up, and give a speech. In an attempt to multitask, I am combining these 3 assignments into one. I came tonight to speak about my bio. I asked Rebecca to review my draft bio, and she suggested that I add a sentence about being a student of Soloveitchik. I have chosen instead to share some thoughts on my experiences in the Shir, as they are relevant to the award which I received and contain important lessons 4.5 decades after the fact. By the time that I was in Rabbi Soloveitchik's Shir, the Rav was declining in physical strength and stamina, but was still a dominant and intimidating presence in the room. Veterans of the Shir had told me that the Rav was unsparing in the treatment of unprepared students, but that he had mellowed somewhat over time. I was the youngest person in the Shir, a precocious teenager hiding behind a column in the desperate hope that the Gadol Ador would not see me, or more importantly, not call on me in class, as he searched for a student to participate in each day's Shir. It was inspiring but ironic that the Rav took attendance before each Shir. Perhaps more interestingly to those assembled, the Rav often tipped his hand as to who he was going to call on his Shir by making a reference to their name as he read the attendance rolls. One day, after about 5 months in the class, the Rav called my name in the appropriate alphabetic sequence of the attendance list, as he had done dozens of times before. The Rav asked me a question to which I had obviously not given sufficient thought. What kind of a name is Orie? Even the column that obstructed my vision of him and his vision of me could not protect me from his penetrating gaze. I could have simply responded that Orie means my light, an answer too obvious for me to utter, in part because I assumed that the most sagacious scholar of the century was fully cognizant of that definition. The name Orie was certainly unique for an Ashkenazic Jew, a native New Yorker in that time. I had managed to go 14 years of Jewish education without ever encountering another Orie. But out of fear, out of stupidity, I did not take the easy way out. I did not define my name for the scholar who certainly knew the definition. Instead, I began a long-winded tale that my mother would often tell us about how I was named after my father's relative who lived and died in my father's hometown of Vilkavisk, Lithuania. But long before I got to the part when my mother asked a rabbi for a more user-friendly name instead of the one I was named after, the Rav responded out of exasperation that he too was from Lithuania and noted that there were no Ories there. So I finally blurted out that Orie means light. There was little doubt that I would be a reluctant and unprepared participant in that morning's Shir. Since Shapiro was one of the last names on the attendance list, there was little time to plot an escape. Moments later, the Rav asked something to the effect, "Where is Orie the Litvak?" Some chuckled, but most averted their gaze. I stuck my head out meekly from behind the column and into the line of fire. I've long forgotten the sugya we learned that morning, but I do remember that the Rav had offered alternate interpretations of a Tosos and asked me if I understood Pshat. Sensing it was best for me to plead noli contendere, or no contest, to that question, I demurred. The Rav gave his Pshat again, in a way that did not seem to exactly comport to the one he had just said. I hastily wrote the Pshat inside the margins of my Gemara, knowing that I would be asked to repeat them. After completing the explanation again, the Rav asked me if I understood the Tosfos, to which I hesitatingly responded in the affirmative. The Rav then threw a curve, which I had not seen in the Shir before, nor had I heard about being in his arsenal based on the litany of apocryphal tales that I had heard from prior generations. He instructed me to close my Gemara and explain the Tosfos without access to the text of my notes. I don't think he saw me transcribe the Pshat in the margins of the Gemara, but I knew that my only chance of concluding the dialogue with a modicum of dignity was to visualize the written words of oral law. So I sheepishly asked the Rav, "But Rebbe, Chazal say osios machimos. The words make you smart." The Rav smiled and said in a tone which straddled the line between bemusement and annoyance, "Who am I to argue with Chazal?" He permitted me to keep the Gemara open, and I explained the Tosfos in a rather workmanlike manner. I was privileged to study for another year and a half in his year, and then for another 2 years when I was a student in Boston, where he gave Chumash Shiurim, but I sadly never had another substantive conversation with the Rav. Sometime after my lone interaction, I approached the Rebbe who gave the Monday morning Chazara Shiur, who himself is now a prominent rabbi in the New York area, and I wondered whether it would be worthwhile for me to switch out of the shiur and go to a lower class where I might play a more active role. He responded without pause or reflection, urging me to remain in the shiur. He advised me that staying in the shiur served a utilitarian purpose, and he gave the following analogy. Imagine that you're a bucket with a hole in it, and you're trying to fill it with water. You're not going to succeed in retaining the water, but at least you'll clean the bucket. I was looking for a spiritual salve for an existential crisis, but instead received what I initially dismissed as a rehashing of the nursery rhyme, "There's a hole in the bucket, there lies and dear Liza." In truth, I'm not even sure if that's what the Chazara Shiur Rebbe ever heard of that song, or whether that was the point of his reference. For more than 4 decades, I've ruminated about the Rav, on the one hand, immersing myself to the extent that I could in his teachings, while contextualizing my personal experiences. My thoughts have evolved over time. My experience of being in the shiur, even if I felt at times just a fly on the wall, has bestowed countless benefits that to some extent are as important and perhaps more important than any chiddush that I may not have fully understood. I witnessed a rabbi revered by thousands, who at the time was in his late 70s, a septuagenarian sage, if you will, fighting off visible physical infirmities and pain to present marathon shiurim of 2.5 to 3 hours in length with no interruption before a rapt audience transfixed in awe that didn't even fidget, much less leave the room. I saw and heard Gadol Ador repeat and tweak the same argument multiple times until he was fully satisfied, only to present a contrary view the next day. The intellectual honesty and repeated revision and refinement by one who had already achieved the highest levels with nothing left to prove is a far cry from what one would expect or observe in academia. The Rav expected preparation from those who attended and demanded precision, if not perfection, from those who participated, but made the highest demands of all of himself. By contrast, I was also privileged to observe the other side of the Rav by attending his weekly Pasha presentation when I was a law student in Boston. For decades, the Rav was a synagogue rabbi in Boston while giving shiur in New York. He took the Eastern Airlines shuttle every Tuesday morning and returned back to Boston on Thursday night. His demeanor before the 100 or so who attended the Motzei Shabbos Chumash class at Maimonides School was entirely different than the Reach shiur. In Boston, he was an avuncular rabbi teaching on a high but attainable level. He fielded kashas with aplomb, without a hint of impatience, annoyance, or frustration, which characterized his Talmud shiur. Yes, one needs to know his audience, but the seismic shift in persona intrigues me and thrills me to this day. I've come to accept that great lessons are learned not only from the oral presentation, but also the aura of presentation. I will conclude with a brief thought which Rabbi Soloveitchik gave on the power of synagogue. It's detailed in chapter 9 of the Sefer Blessings and Thanksgivings, published by the OU. The Gemara in Shabbos, Lamed Beis Amud Aleph, quotes Rabbi Shmuel ben Eliezer as saying in relevant part that ignorant people do not live long because they call a house of prayer a Beis Am, which means a house of the nation, rather than a Beis Knesset. This seems to be a strange and nebulous deficiency. Why must we call our house of prayer by the name Beit Knesset And why is the failure to call a shul a Beis Knesset but a Beis Am treated so harshly in the Gemara so as to be equated with ignorance and early death? The Rav explained that the Hebrew term for synagogue is Beit Knesset, a house of gathering. It's called that because in the rabbinic tradition, Knesset Israel refers to the mysterious bonds that connect Jews to one another. A synagogue is not merely a physical gathering of individuals, but rather an invisible Knesset Israel, which embraces not only contemporaries, but every Jew who has ever lived. The Rav develops this theme to reconcile an apparent textual contradiction. On the one hand, the pasuk says, "V'nikdashti b'toch b'nei Yisrael," which seems to suggest that the entire nation must be present for God to be sanctified, but Chazal derives from there that a minyan of 10 suffices for Devar Kedusha. The Rav suggests that the minyan represents all of Klal Yisrael. Quoting from the Rav, Knesset Yisrael includes all those whose names have been made immortalized and made unforgettable, as well as those Jews who lived in anonymity, who died silently, and whose bodies were buried in unmarked graves without leaving a single memory and without leaving a single footprint in the shifting sands of human destiny. All of them, great or small, big or little, are part and parcel of the invisible Knesset Yisrael, which is represented and to be more exact, impersonated by the minyan of 10 frail old men. The Knesset Yisrael holds in its embrace every Jew who will ever live on the face of the globe, generations yet unborn who will sometime in the dark, awesome future will serve our people. All of them belong to the invisible Knesset Yisrael, represented by the 10 people who come on a rainy day to shul to say Asher Yoshrei B'Secha. The term Beis Am is merely a gathering of contemporaries, while Beit Knesset represents the entire covenantal community, suspending all three time dimensions. The past is not yet gone, the future has already arrived, united by a 10-man minyan in the present. In a sense, each and every minyan represents God's rendezvous with his nation, past, present, and future. I understand this to mean that although Hashem is everywhere, and we theoretically have license to pray anywhere, maybe even can do it with more kavanah at home, it is only at the Beis Knesset or through the mechanism of minyan we can truly participate in the meeting place designated for our appointment with God as part of Knesset Yisrael. So I'd like to thank the shul for providing me a room to rendezvous with the Ribono Shalom. And in this talk, I've paid homage to parents and a revered Rabbi who have long been deceased, but who I've appreciated even more with the passage of time. This, my friends, is Orie's story. And as far as being one of your honorees at today's dinner, I will relay the comment that I've heard from many of you in another context. Mirz Hashem Bayu, may you all soon be honorees. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'd like to recognize a former classmate of mine and a neighbor, Rabbi Shapiro, came in with his wife, Hani. We're grateful, appreciate your presence here from Florida in honor of your brother, Orie. It is now my turn to introduce Rabbi Daniel Rosenfeld, who will present to Mikey and Alyssa Hizami. This is the first dinner. Rabbi Rosenfeld is officially as the Rabbi of the Young Israel YIKGH Hills. I know that the Rabbi and I can discuss many, many things for an enormous amount of hours, which started many years ago at Parent Teachers Conference at Yeshiva Central Queens, when I was sent to Parent Teachers Night of Judaic Studies, you might recall, and I'm happy to say Rabbi Rosenfeld's remaining young and does not look any different from those days. Without any further ado, Rabbi Rosenfeld.
Orie was at the first Parent Teacher Conference, if anyone's wondering why Orie wasn't there.
So it's not just children who have a hard time saying goodbye to Hanukkah. It's also rabbis. I've noticed. Rabbis love talking about Hanukkah. Of course, it's 8 days, so we'll go on with day 11. You'll forgive me. But I want to share probably a machlokas, a disagreement that many of us are familiar with, on how to light the menorah. We know the Gemara tells us, Beis Shammai says, Hochis v'holech. You begin with 8 candles, and you subsequently remove 1 candle per night until the last night when you're left with 1 candle. 8 to 1. While Beis Hillel holds, Mosif v'holech. You begin with 1 candle, as we know, on the first night, second, etc. Continue to add 1 candle every night until the 8th night where you have 8. And the Maharal of Prague, lived in the early 17th century, writes in his Sefer Ner Chanukah that this dispute is not simply how to light a menorah, the practical halacha, how to light a Chanukiah, but can also tell us how to live a successful life. Beis Shammai focuses on making sure one already has a lit menorah, solid foundation before they get started on an endeavor. Similar to the construction of a home. You could have the nicest house in the world, but if there are cracks in the foundation, we know the house will not endure. So before you start anything in life, Beis Shammai asks, you need to first create. You need to ensure that your foundation is ironclad with all of your ingredients present. Like a full menorah, if you will. However, we know that the halacha follows Beis Hillel. What does Beis Hillel say? While starting with a solid foundation is obviously important, all you need to know in life is ma'alim b'kodesh. You have to go up in matters of kedusha. You have to always be moving ma'alim, going up. You always have to be doing something, being osek, being involved in something important. This is Mikey and Alyssa. They are ma'alim b'kodesh. They're always doing something for others, even in their incredibly busy lives. Whether for our shul here in YIKGH Hills, getting more and more people involved, or for the greater community at large, and ultimately the greater Jewish community, they are always going up in matters of kedusha, being osek b'tzorchei tzibor. Therefore, it's my pleasure to present the Hizamis with the Young Leadership Award at this year's dinner.
Forgive me, us. I want to first start off by thanking Orie for taking a couple extra minutes to give me time to edit mine after hearing the wonderful speakers from today. Bershut, well, one of the first things that I would change, we would change is instead of saying Bershut President Verstadig and Rabbi Rosenfeld, it's all of the Rabbanim, including Rabbi Verstadig, who I did not know was a rabbi until right now. So let's get started. So we also want to thank Rebecca and the entire dinner committee for organizing a wonderful event tonight. I know you might not recognize me. It's weird, I'm wearing a jacket and a tie. It's gonna come off soon, don't worry. You're not gonna, downstairs is not gonna be there, but shalom bias, you know. Anyways, I wanna, before we really, getting started to talk about the show, I wanna start by thanking my mother-in-law and her boyfriend Jeff, and my mother all the way in the back, holding our beautiful daughter Ziva, who is very much a part of the show, I would like to think. Whenever I come to show without her, people ask me, where's Ziva, where is she, I also want to thank my wife who, you might see more of me, but everything that I'm doing is only with her by my side. I would not be able to do anything that I do. I would not be able to be successful in my classes without her support, coming home, dinner being ready, house being cleaned, also working. She's amazing. Thank you, love. I'm not too much of a public speaker, but I have heard that, to help you with public speaking, find someone in the congregation or in the crowd that you like or know, and it'll be easier. But now everyone's like all over the place, so it's a little harder to find someone, but it's okay because what's beautiful about the Young Israel is no matter where you look, you have friends. No matter what it is, I have a friend that I normally sit with during chakras who, if I show up a minute late, it's a minute late, I still made it, but it's a minute late. Mikey, what's wrong? Did you go to sleep a little bit late last night? This Shabbos, he wasn't there, but don't worry. Heshi made sure to fill that in. There's a beauty of intergenerational friendships over here that's really beautiful. It's a wonderful culture here that we're very happy and honored to be a part of. So when we moved in, it was COVID. We got married in November of 2021. It was COVID. People weren't going to shul. We weren't going to shul because of COVID. We were just lazy and didn't want to get up in the morning. But once we finally decided to go, find a community over here, we went to a couple different shuls. One shul was nice, had nice singing, and the problem was there was no space. Then we went to a different shul, and there was some space, but it was a little bit cliquey. And then I came here for the first time, and within 10 minutes, and I'm going to use this as a way to thank half of the shul because we have the same names here, David, Ellie, and Avi. Any combination of those three came up to me, introduced themselves, and got to know me, sat down within the first 3 minutes. You don't really find that everywhere, and once that happened, I convinced Alyssa to come, and we decided, this is a place that we want to be a part of. This is a place that we want to continue to, bring our family into, bring Ziva here. No, we didn't have her yet, but. One thing was a little funny, just a side note, about coming to Young Israel. There was this thing called the Young Marrieds Minyan. It wasn't Young Marrieds Minyan, okay? We need a new name for them. We talked about it this past Shabbos. We're still working on it. But thank God we're starting to bring in the new Young Marrieds over here. Not just married, which is also good. Starting a woman's culture. Just to finish off, what I'm hearing over here, I didn't have the pleasure of, getting to know Rabbi Schoenfeld or your father, but in this shul, it's very clear that the shul has a very rich history, and I'd like to think that with Rabbi Rosenfeld and, the crowd that's coming in, there's also a very bright future, and Alyssa and I are very proud and excited to participate and be instrumental in cultivating that culture that we spoke about. Thank you so much.
Our next speaker will be Avraham Pinkasov from the Queen Shapiro, who will be presenting the Community Service Award to Shabsie, Saphirstein. If I may extend my appreciation to you personally for all your help, all the calls I made to you, and WhatsApp and text messages to you. And I thank you so much for returning our calls on behalf of the shul and making sure there was a Shapiro car here when I needed one here, especially when we had Dr. Alan Kadish here not too long ago. And I could not find more fitting than you to introduce and to present to Shabsie Saphirstein, who is an individual that works out of love for each person, out of love for the community, whether it's Chaverim or Shmira. I got to know Shabsie the last couple of years, and he's amazing. I just don't know how he does everything. And we look forward every week for his articles. And we thank Shabsie for his tremendous dedication, a karos hatov, to this community and this shul. Without any further ado, call upon our Queen's representative from Shapiro, Avraham.
Good evening, everyone. And everybody who's here. It was actually an honor for me to have River Standing reach out to me and ask me to present Shabsie with this award. I think without me even saying a word, everybody in this room and in our communities all know the outstanding work Shabsie does. And he genuinely does because he loves the community, he loves the Jewish people, and he wants to make sure that everything is being done to the highest standards. I've known Shabsie personally for about 9 years now, through Chazak, through Shmira. I know him obviously, he's involved with Chaverim and the local famous Queens Jewish Link, Bukhari Jewish Link, and his work in the community is absolutely outstanding. I don't think I know anybody else as dedicated and as committed to our community like Shabsie. He's literally everywhere. Sometimes there's simultaneous events going on, and somehow he pops his head into every single one of them. He does not disappoint anybody. He's always there to put a smile on everybody. I don't think there's anybody in our community more deserving of this award. Obviously, we know that Shabsie went through an accident a couple months back in June, which brought an enormous amount of unity throughout the Jewish community as a whole. I don't think there's anybody who doesn't know him in the tri-state area probably. And I mean, we were all scared, and thankfully Shabsie is here and he's in one piece, and we're very happy to have him as a community outreach coordinator for Queen Shmira. He's a very, very important asset to the organization as he is to the whole community. And I look to him as an older brother to myself. As a coordinator, I always reach out to him and I always ask him, Shabsie, do you think I'm doing the right thing by doing this or not doing it? Please, and I seek his advice, I take it, I cherish it, because I do know that he is one of the most generous people, and he always wants to make sure the best for the community. And I mean, without further ado, Shabsie, congratulations. We do appreciate all your work for all the organizations, for the whole community, and everything that you do for Shmira especially. Thank you.
I'd like to call upon the co-publisher of the Queens Jewish Link, YIKGH Hashkama, to come forward.
There you go. There you go. Got too many paper again. You gotta talk this time. You have to put in this picture. It's really. Let's see.
Wow, Aboff, thank you so much. I don't think I have to say anything further. I think you said it all right there. Your words were heartfelt and meaningful. Thank you. Rishus Rabbi Schoenfeld, the Rabbi Emeritus, with whom I have developed a wonderful connection over the years, and Rabbi Daniel Rosenfeld, the Marab Asra, who has brought so much light to the storied Kehillah since joining. I'm humbled to be thought of for our Community Service Award, and I accept it on behalf of each organization that I've been zocha to lend a helping hand. It is befitting for the Young Israel of YIKGH Hills to bestow this recognition upon me because it is here at the Youth Center where my formative ideas in caring and sharing with others were formulated, most notably under Mrs. Rita Rushfield, Allah Hashalom. I thank her daughter, Rebecca, and Reb Stewie Verstandig, the illustrious president, the Shul board, and the dinner committee for choosing me for this honor. Reb Stewie is a fixture at communal gatherings, standing in tow with elected officials and law enforcement as a representative for his membership and Queens jury as a whole. To that end, I stand with the Young Israel of YIKGH Hills in recognizing the work of the 107th Precinct, now under the leadership of Captain Mo Sang and former commanding officer, Deputy Inspector Kevin Chan, and they connected well, and the precinct responded to our needs at record speed. Thank you to Kevin and to Tim for all their work in making that happen. This past week, the Deputy Inspector formally introduced me to Captain Sang at the Borough President Donovan Richards' Hate Crimes Task Force meeting that he spoke about a few minutes ago, and I'm optimistic on building a partnership together. On behalf of our different organizations, I thank the Borough President for being a forceful voice for his Jewish constituency. He really doesn't have to give us all the time and energy he does for us in the state of Israel, showcased by his visit, and we commend him for that. I would like to recognize New York City Council member Jim Gennaro, who I heavily campaigned for on behalf of the Queens Jewish Alliance, and Assembly member Sam Berger, who both are shining examples in leadership amongst their legislative bodies. That passion that I heard Sam speak with at a recent meeting with families of hostages is why he was chosen to represent our community. Councilmember Gennaro and I have worked on presenting various concepts to the community, and his common sense approach is in line with ours. I wish him well as he returns from the hospital and recovers from RSV. But I would have no platform to present any of these ideas without the consent of Rabbi and his partner at the Queens Jewish Link, Naftali Srolowitz, to whom I owe a tremendous debt of gratitude each and every single week. Of my various ventures on behalf of the community, I organized the Bukharian Jewish Link and distributed to 100 Forest Hills and Rego Park vendors. I publicly apologized to Rabbi Yaakov and his wife Tara and Naftali for not following up on any lead, email, or WhatsApp blast that I may have missed out. I thank our anchor Margaret Tietz and the Public Affairs Director Linda Spiegel for believing in our mission in fair journalism. My work at these papers stems from the Avodas Hakodesh of the acclaimed Chazak organization, where for years I distributed parsha sheets and promoted shiurim to 100 minyanim and operated their food pantry. It was there where I learned humility from Rabbi Yaniv Meirov, the CEO, and Rabbi Aaron Wolke, the Chesed Kodesh, L'Rachel, the Rosh Yeshiva, who watched me work with the underprivileged families in our community as they collected groceries in YIKGH, where the yeshiva continues to flourish. It was as if the Rosh Yeshiva wanted to stand in my place, and I'm sure he's here with us tonight. It was there that I met Robbie, Aboff, their operations manager, and a dear friend whose family I am extremely close with. Thank you for encouraging me every day. Torah Anytime, founded by Shimon and Reuben Kalyakov, are close partners of Chazak, and I have joined them at many conventions as a volunteer recorder, ensuring that the words of Gedolim and phenomenal orators of our generation last a lifetime over. As many of you know, I was in a harrowing accident before the summer. While in recovery, Robbie led the effort for a Tehillim chat and a Guard Your Words initiative that galvanized all sects of the Queens Jewish community, uniting all in tefillah on my behalf. I thank every member of that group and to each shul, including this one, for saying a mishaverach in my merit. Switching gears, last night I delivered belated Hanukkah gifts to local Yisomim on behalf of Mesaskim of Queens, an organization I joined after Mordechai Sensor, a dear family friend, encouraged me to do so. While out yesterday, I dispatched many Chaverim calls, but one for a child locked in a bathroom at Elite Cafe on Main Street is the crux of what the organization stands for. They're represented tonight by Avigdor Saphirstein, and I thank each and every member who gives of their time, especially those who helped them reach a recent crowdfunding milestone. But it's my work at Queens Shmira where I have been widely noticed as their coordinator of community outreach, together with the coordination of our local police precincts. We have enabled many community functions, including Torah and Tefillah gatherings, Hachnasas, Sifrei Torah, and many more events to take place or be further protected by our involvement. So much so, we presented former Deputy Inspector Chan of the 107 and Captain David Cordano of the 112th Precinct Awards for their partnerships at our recent dinner. It is the dedication of our volunteers who patrol throughout the night and respond to calls at any hour who this award is really for. But I wouldn't know the first thing in respect to others were it not for my grandmother, Mrs. Rita Saphirstein, who has shown me how friends should be treated as family. It was here at the Young Israel of YIKGH Hills that she davened as a teenager. Nobody cares for a beis medrash like my uncle Naftali Saphirstein does at Chassam Sofer on Main Street. My father, a rabbi across the street at the Young Israel of YIKGH Hills, also exhibits this quality, taking note from his grandfather and my namesake, Reb Shabsie Jacobs, who, like myself, organized Kiddushim in Shul. My mother, a longtime preschool mower across the street at YCQ, exudes these qualities of chesed, as does my sister, Alyssa, in all facets of her life. As secretary at the shul, I send emails and keep the membership informed. Thank you to Rav Moshe Sokolov and Rav Eliezer Shadwitzky and Rav Moshe Baruch Kalkin for showing me the righteous path. May these zichusim help bring the hostages home and bring Eretz Yisrael's victory in the war against terror. Thank you so much.
now time to recognize the 50th anniversary of the Hashkama Minyan, now under the leadership of Rabbi Ephraim Black, who finds time, in addition to his work, to delivering shiurim and speaking throughout the neighborhood. The Minyan weekly, I certainly make some appearances when I check out the building on Shabbos morning, making sure everything is Seder. It's always quiet. It's one minyan that everyone's on the same page. And as the Shulchan Aruch indicates, Tefillah's one of the requirements is to daven the Kavanah. That's the Hashkama Minyan. I recall many years ago, when it was packed with capacity and the Hakodesh became a big word and a big familiar phrase from the Hashkama. We remember Aaron Sofian, Zechron Levracha, encouraging everyone to eat, especially following the Hashkama Minyan at 9 o'clock, 9:15, 9:30. So I remember those days. Without any further ado, I call upon Rabbi Ephraim Black, the Associate Rabbi and the Rabbi of the Hashkama Minyan, to recognize the 50th anniversary of Hashkama Minyan.
Thank you, Rabbi, for standing. Rishus, Rabbi Rosenfeld, Rabbi Schoenfeld. So I was going to say over all 50 years of drushes every Shabbos morning. I think we'll cut that. It all started in 1973 when a group of men led by Rabbi Abraham Schechter approached Rabbi Fabian Schoenfeld Zelle and requested that the shul start the Shabbos morning Hashkama Minyan. Rabbi Schoenfeld was fine with the idea, but he set one condition. The Hashkama Minyan must always have a shiur following davening. Thankfully, for the past 50 years, I don't think any 1 week has gone by that this condition has not been satisfied. The first Maggid Shur was the legendary Moshe Pfeiffer Zatzal, followed by the tremendous Talmid Chacham, Rabbi Shapiro Shulman, followed by Rabbi Noah Rabovsky Shlito, who now is in Florida, and Muslim of the local Yeshivas Chavetz Chaim. For the past decade, I have been fortunate to be the Ran of the Hashkama Minyan. Our Minyan is truly special. We have excellent decorum, inspirational davening, warm camaraderie, and of course the weekly Hakodesh. On a typical Shabbos, the Minyan is filled with both Ashkenazim and Sephardim, men and women, young and old, of all backgrounds, hashkafas, ages. It is really a unique minyan. On a personal level, it's very special for me to be running the same minyan that I have such fond memories of davening with my father years ago as a little boy. Indeed, the first chance that I had to sing Adam Zemiros was 35 years ago at the Hashkama Minyan, where I had to fight off Yaakov Levinson, I think, for a chance to get some shots at a couple years older than me. But I finally got a chance. Don't worry, I will not sing Adam Zemiros now, don't worry. A special thank you to Mrs. Witter and Elliott for overseeing every aspect of the Kiddush every week at the Hashkama Minyan, buying the food, setting, the cleaning up, and much more. Special thank you. Special thank you to our Gabbayim, Mr. Joseph Klein and Mr. Aaron Chait, for all their hard work in making sure the minyan runs smoothly. And of course, thank you to the cadre of Chavetz Chaim Buffer and Kol Yulite, who come every week to make up our Bali Kriya. One of the highlights for me every Shabbos at the Hashkama Minyan is seeing Mr. Gerald Iseson. Mr. Iseson, who has down to the Hashkama Minyan since its inception, is a humble genius. He knows, an accountant by trade, he knows anything about any topic. Torah, science, history, you name it. But he expresses himself with such humility that probably no one in this room knows that fact unless you sit in shiurim that he is part of. His questions at our post, Hashkama Shir, and during the Kiddush are always brilliant. He just gave me homework now, and I was sitting there to try to, before we started, he gave me a question, and I have to go home and do homework on that as well. It's not even Shabbos, so it's not really so fair. But most incredible is Mr. Iseson's desire to learn more. He has a thirst for Torah knowledge that can rival any young yeshiva bacher, even though he's likely a bit older than the average yeshiva bacher. This thirst is matched only by his amazing gevura, his strength. One only needs to watch Mr. Iseson perform Hagba on an almost weekly basis to realize that we're talking about a true gem to our shul and specifically to the Hashkama Minyan. It is my bracha to Mr. Iseson and his longtime sidekick, Mrs. Iseson, that they should continue in good health to serve as role models for our entire community, our shul, and specifically the Hashkama Minyan, for many, many more years to come. Celebrating 50 years of the Young Israel YIKGH Hashkama Minyan, presented to 50-year member Gerald Iseson, Young Israel YIKGH 72nd anniversary. Thank you all.
That was the shortest speech ever recorded in the history of the shul. Thank you so much for everyone's patience. Thank you to all the rabbis. And more importantly, let's thank Rebecca Woodard for putting this together this evening for a hard work and dedication. Everyone, of course, invited for dinner downstairs.